Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel once again for another video. This is the last of its kind though. This is the breakdown for the finale trailer for Superman and Lois, the final season. And I have expressed this in multiple videos at this point to nauseam that it is such a shame that we are losing this show. We are losing these characters, and the CW is sunsetting on an era as far as just scripted shows in general, that we're losing all of this. This is it. This is the last show for this channel, for this era, and I think it couldn't have gone out on a better show, because they had a handful of other scripted shows, and I don't even know if they're running, honestly. And we had the Arrow universe, which was a huge success for this channel, spawned a lot of shows, some of them better than others, obviously. But it is ending on what I believe is the best note possible with Superman and Lois. The acting and everything involved in making the show is unlike anything that we saw in a lot of the other shows. I mean, the other shows were good. A lot of them had their pros, had their cons. Arrow kind of launched this whole universe, but it did kind of start also way back in 2001 with Smallville, and it kind of makes sense and kind of a full circle thing where it is ending with another telling of a Superman story. But I wanted to break down the trailer, talk about the final episode for this show, and and I guess just reminisce on the show and talk about what could have been. I mean, this show could have easily gone several more seasons, and they could have accomplished so much, but James Gunn had to swing it around and just step in and cancel this because he's launching his new version of the DC movie universe with his new version of Superman, which, I'm sorry, will probably fail like the last ones because they just do everything wrong when it comes to the movie universe with the DC properties and whatnot. They've done everything right when it comes to the shows. I mean, not only did we have the CW shows, we had the HBO Max shows like Teen Titans, or I guess Titans, and then we had Doom Patrol, which honestly I never watched in its entirety, and I don't think I did for Titans either. But regardless, shows that were good. I mean, you had the HBO shows, which were far more graphic and adult themed than you had our CW shows, which were more geared towards the teen 20s audience or what have you. But anyways, enough jabbering. We're going to break this down, talk about what's left of Superman and Lois, and what I believe is going to be a very emotional ride for the finale. Just what they're setting up and just how it could play out. Will we get any more surprises? That's what I'm most excited about. Could we see some more surprises? Because they kind of set it up for a couple. But anyways, let's break down this trailer. We get the opening shots of the Kent farm, kind of the sunsetting on the legacy of this show and what it could have been, and just the sunsetting on this particular story. So I really enjoy this shot, actually. Jumping into the next one, we have a scene here within the trailer where Clark and Lois are talking about what do we want our legacy to be, and I think maybe they're planning for the absolute worst, or maybe this is a flashback, we don't know yet. But we get them talking about what do they want Superman to be as far as his legacy, and their legacy as a couple, truth, justice, and a better tomorrow, which makes sense and is very on par with Superman and what he stands for. Then we get this shot, a very kind of iconic shot. This is one of the first shots we see Clark as Superman within this series, him saving this car, then seeing that kid that says, nice suit or whatever, and he says, thanks, my mom made it, which was a very funny thing for him to say. So it's just very cool that they include this. More than likely we will see some flashback shots of just how they got to where they are now, and just the adventures along the way, the perils of his journey as Superman, leading up to what will be the final fight, how they will deal with Lex, how they will deal with Doomsday, and just everything that's kind of tumbling down on top of them now. But I have absolute faith that they will do this right, because they have not strayed as far as the storytelling in the show at all the whole time it's been on. And I have a lot of faith in the way that they plan to tell it. Jumping in the next one, we just have a shot of Lois and Clark within the Smallville Gazette, just planning for what's next, what could be the end of their time in Smallville, or just their end in general because of the threat of Doomsday, and just him being at, I think, full power or whatever, being the most comic accurate version of Doomsday that we've ever gotten. Jumping into the next one, we have another classic shirt rip for Superman. Now, is this a flashback? Is this the final shirt rip we will see in this telling of Superman? So it's a very iconic shot for a lot of reasons. We've seen many actors take this shot, the ripping open of the shirt, revealing the Superman logo or what have you, the Superman House of L crest. So I'm excited to see, but at the same time, very sad to see. This will probably be the last time we see Tyler Hoechlin don the Superman outfit, unless they figure out a way to bring it back down the road when James Gunn new version will more than likely fail. But that's just, maybe that's wishful thinking too. I don't know. Kind of jumping back to that first scene at the beginning of the trailer where they discuss what they want their legacy to be. Another shot of Lois kind of in that same scene. Then we get a shot of Jordan being pinned down and strangled by Lex. So at some point, Jordan and Jonathan are going to go after Lex. I don't know if this is going to be a team effort as far as Clark being involved, because we have a lot of back and forth between him and Lois within this trailer, where Lois is telling him that the boys are, they're kids, but they're not kids anymore. They can't be in this bubble anymore. You can't protect them. You need to show them how it's done, basically, and you guys need to be a team. How Jonathan and Jordan depend on each other. They're not alone like Superman was a lot of his journey growing up, discovering his powers, discovering the trials of how to use them, how to harness these abilities. So we're going to have probably a lot of brother and brother kind of dynamic about how they don't have to worry about being alone. They have each other to depend on whatever comes their way. So I'm excited to see just really what all that will entail. Will they go at Lex and Doomsday as a family? More than likely, and I think they're going to have the help of John Henry. Even though Lex has taken his suit, I think they got something up their sleeve, because they pretty much said as much within the trailer. Shot of Lex here from Jordan's point of view, where he's just saying how he's as worthless as his mother, just really has a grudge against Lois, and just is, I don't know, he is just very bitter about Lois exposing him basically for who he really is, because that woman Amanda has since walked out on him too, after he kind of snapped at her after she's trying to reel him in from doing something that he's going to regret, or maybe not so much, but just trying to reel him in from going off the edge and attacking an entire town, making them pay for what he believes was them turning their back on him and kind of disrespecting him after he offered them all of this money for some land. Then we have just some title screens here throughout the trailer, their final flight. Then we have this one of a few different shots within this trailer where we have Superman and Lex in the sky fighting, and just this very intense battle coming up. And I'm sure it will come down to just Lex and Clark facing each other, kind of without the boys involved. Just kind of this classic Superman versus Lex Luthor type of fight. So that will be exciting to see. Now the title screen says, "We'll leave a legacy." Then we have kind of another flashback shot. I want to say this is probably from when the first few episodes of the first season, where this is where Clark reveals to Lois who he is, and this is where they get engaged, and this is where they start their life together. Or actually, this is probably just them getting engaged and, you know, committing themselves to each other, because I'm pretty sure up at this point Lois already knows. But kind of going on to the next shot, we have another title, Stronger Than Steel. So their final flight will leave a legacy, Stronger Than Steel. Then we have a shot of the boys flying through the woods. I don't know if this is another bit of them training, or this is kind of it. This is them in the mix. This is them in the fight to save Smallville, to save its people, to be there by their dad's side, so they don't have to go through that pain of losing him again, and trying to get him to understand that they're not little kids anymore, that they can stand up for themselves, and just being a part of this, that he doesn't have to do this alone. Got another shots where they had since kind of had a little meeting there at that same field where they were going to train, or where they had taken off from earlier, where Clark is still, this is before they really get into it, that Clark is just, he doesn't want them to help because he doesn't want to put them in danger. So he just kind of takes off flying, and this is them witnessing him taking off. And this is that part where Lois is just really trying to dig her nails in and just get Clark to understand they're not kids anymore. They can take care of themselves. They can be a part of this fight, because they're going to regardless, because they are both super abled people, and this is their dad. They're going to do what they need to do to stick up for him, to be there for him, and not let him do this alone, because it's not just up to him anymore, and they just trying to get him to understand that. Lois is trying to get him to understand that they need to do this as a team, as a family. So I'm really excited to see them all to come together and play their respective roles in taking out Lex, taking out Doomsday, or just how that all kind of plays out. And this is kind of an emotional scene where I don't know if this is after they've been attacked or they've gotten into a fight or what happened, but Jordan is just clinging to Jonathan. Maybe it's a moment where they thought one of them was going to die or just something. Jordan just says, "Please don't ever leave me," and we just get kind of an emotional thing here where we see this wrecked room. Maybe this is in Smallville. Maybe this is Lex's little building that he had there in Smallville, where they're just trying to have a moment, I guess, as brothers, that they will be there for each other. And Jordan is just really clinging to this moment, I think, because Jordan's always been kind of the sensitive type. He's always had anxieties and everything, and I'm sure they're kind of just running wild at this point too. Then we get a scene of Clark right at the face of the sun. This is him recharging, because obviously Superman, his abilities, his Kryptonian biological makeup is enhanced by Earth's yellow sun. That's the legacy, that's the story of Superman. So this is him soaking up all of that solar radiation, trying to charge his body, probably for a temporary thing. More than likely, this is kind of how they're going to do it, where it's charging him up, and we get him just soaking in those sun rays, trying to get as strong as he possibly can with the condition that his donor heart is in, and with his body more or less slowly rejecting it over time, because it is a human heart, because his body is just, it's not a compatible situation. So I'm interested to see, I mean, how much will the sun really charge up his body now that it's not being, I guess, powered by his original heart? How much will that heart be able to take? As we get another scene, this is just another instance, I believe, of Lois talking to him, saying, "You have to let the boys help you. There's no staying out of this." And this is kind of a thing, I believe, that they're kind of building up to a possible surprise appearance, or just something up their sleeve, because we have a moment where they're not sure what they're going to do, how they're going to fight them, and then Lana and John Henry show up saying that they have an idea. So I don't know if this is going to involve someone coming in to help them. More than likely not. I think they're going to kind of stick to the whole, this is not part of the Arrowverse thing. They can't have any other superheroes or anything come in to save the day. This is all dependent on Superman and his boys taking care of business and doing what they have to protect the world and protect their universe. So I don't think they're going to depend on that. But I'm interested to see, what they really mean by that. Then we get another shot of Lex here, just very angry and wanting to make everyone pay for, he believes, anything that they've done wrong against him. And this version of Lex I've really enjoyed. I mean, we've had other versions of Lex in the past that have done well for their respective roles and whatnot, but Michael Cutlett's already being a fan of him from The Walking Dead and just the various other shows that he's done over the years. Him coming in to play Lex, I think, was the right choice, and he does such a good job at it. He brings kind of a new telling of Lex's story, as far as being this very brute, thuggish guy versus the hoity-toity billionaire or whatever. I mean, obviously he still throws that money around, does what he wants and whatnot, but just this version, he's very intimidating, very threatening, so I've really enjoyed his take on it. This is kind of a continuation of the scene with Lex that we just had, where he says he's going to kill her, and Lois is just like, you know what, fuck it, do it. And so this should be a fun scene. And here's another continuation of the scene of Lex and Clark up in the sky fighting. Clark is just, he's had enough. He says, "You came after my family, came after my boys, and you came after my town, and not ever again. This is the end of that. You're never going to do this ever again." So I don't know how far they're really going to push it. Is it really going to be a matter of Clark just at his wit's end, and he's tired of this constant threat looming over him and his family, that he's going to take Lex out? Probably not. That's just my guess, because Clark and just the Superman legacy is he does not kill. That is not who he is. So it should be interesting to see, what they do with that part of it anyways. Just another piece of that scene from Lex's point of view, and I really like the color scheme they got up in his helmet now. This is kind of very classic Lex that we've seen like in cartoons and whatnot, the purple and green where this is his interface or what have you for the suit. And we have this final closing scene of the trailer with Superman and Lex charging at each other. So it should make for a very interesting closing to this telling of Superman, albeit very unfortunate that we're losing this when it had so much potential to go on for so many more seasons, and it's been such a great ride with this show. I've really enjoyed it more than I thought I would when it was first announced, and I just really got sucked into it, and the different things that they did, like including a brother for Clark, which as far as I know is not something that was ever done within the comics. He does not have any kind of brother or anything, and I wish they would bring him back. Honestly, he could be the guy that swoops in there to help, but I think he's kind of just, that character's done its thing and he's gone. But here with the final frame for the trailer, the title of the episode, it went by so fast. Just, it could not be more true. Just an amazing show all around, and I really hate that it's coming to an end, but I'm glad they're at least able to do it on their own terms. It's not something that's just going to be canceled and we don't ever really get any full closure on it. So I'm happy about that at least, but nonetheless, still very disappointed that the show is going away. And it's the end of an era. We are done with superhero shows, at least on the CW. I'm sure we'll get some other platform down the road that they'll come up with something. But I'm sad to say that I doubt we will ever see this version of Superman or the return of Stephen Amell's Arrow or anybody like that, because, I mean, they're getting older and they're not going to be able to be a part of these demanding filming schedules and the physical demands of it as far as being these superheroes and whatnot. But anyways, guys, that is my breakdown, my discussion for the Superman Lois, the finale. And it's unfortunate that it's come this way, but it is what it is. But if you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed my talk about it, my discussion, my thoughts, any of it, please be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, consider subscribing, and I will see you next time. So take care. Bye.